Good morning, Iona Castle, with news from ABCDEFG. This newscast is brought to you by the letters C and V and by the number 19. Some up-to-date statistics for you today regarding the recent outbreak of coronavirus creating a global pandemic. This graph, first of all, showing the total coronavirus cases from the period January 22 to April 3. Now you can see here that the growth is extraordinary. One could say exponential. And we are going to compare that graph with another which shows the total deaths from that same time period. Now you'll notice that it correlates perfectly with the amount of corona cases so far. So putting on that, the daily death rate as opposed to the total death rate, here we have a graph that shows just exactly what's happening there with the total deaths worldwide. Okay, now showing a graph of the daily new cases worldwide with this graph showing cases per day, daily new cases, and you could see a small abnormality just about here, but otherwise that same exponential growth. Let's move on to around the world. The total cases outside of China. Now this is a different trend entirely. We're seeing here numbers that start very low, curving straight upwards as it moves from January to April. Remember, this is the total cases outside of China. So let's take a look at those Chinese cases. And here we have those official figures. We know that these are correct figures from China of the total cases. And you'll see here that the rising death rate is just similar to those total cases outside of China. Moving on to active cases worldwide, a steep rise in those currently infected compared with these figures, the total serious and critical cases. Although we do note a small rise here with the outbreak in Wuhan. Now I'm going to zoom in on some particular countries. First of all, we're going to go with Italy, who has had a terrible outbreak. And you can see here the statistics show exponential growth compared with Spain, which has been quite different. In Spain, we notice this, a graph that starts low and then goes steeply upwards. Moving on to the UK, where we can see here the difference from both Italy and Spain with that rise there. Finally, the USA, and we see here a steep rise going from low to high, showing the amount of deaths in that country. Now, back here in New Zealand, I've got some accurate figures from the government this morning, which shows that our infection rate is, as shows here, quite different than the rest of the world. And that could be for a number of factors, but possibly because of our isolation in that we live with a moat around our island. So that was the active cases, and now looking at the deaths, we can see here this is correct up to the point that it is totally incorrect in every way. I'm Teresa Green. I've brought you news from ABCDEFG. Good morning.